Hey, everybody. Happy Friday. Thanks for joining us at the Local Marketing Institute every other Friday at 11 o'clock Mountain Standard Time. I'm here with Greg Gifford, and we are back. So, Happy New Year. And let's go ahead and we'll just kind of roll through the slides. Next slide, please, dude. All right. My name is Ben Fisher. I'm with Steady Demand, a Diamond Google My Business product expert. And we have here with us, Greg, introduce yourself.
Hey, I'm Greg Gifford. I am with Search Lab Digital, and I am a lowly gold product expert.
Lowly gold expert. What are you talking about?
It sounds great, except when I'm talking about it around guys like you that are diamond, you know?
Well, just mentor a bunch more people.
Yeah.
No, seriously. All right, cool. Let's go to the next slide, please. And Local Marketing Institute Connect. Please follow us, join us on Facebook. And also, if you can visit localmarketinginstitute.com and sign up for our newsletter. Thanks, Jeffrey. And also, please sign up for our podcast. Our podcast is all over the place: Apple, Google, Spotify, iHeartRadio. And as far as I know, we are still #1 in Belarus. I'm just saying. All right.
You know, next time when I have the soundboard app and we can start doing all the goofy stuff we want to do, we've got to have the Belarus national anthem when we say that part.
Yes, let's do it. And okay, cool. And also, next slide, please.
That's all the slides I have.
That's all the slides you have. Okay. So anyway, okay, cool. And also okay, we'll go ahead and we'll get started. Right. Never mind. I was going to pop on some other interesting information, but I'm not going to say it right now. So again, thanks everybody for coming. It's the new year. Greg and I are now going solo. There are reasons for this that we'll get into at another date. And for right now, let's just jump straight into it. There is one piece of news today. And this was actually something I discovered and has been featured on Search Engine Land. And anyway, what it is there is a new manager waiting period for Google Business Profiles. And what this basically means is that when you add a new manager or an owner in the past, what's basically been able to happen is that user has full control over your listing. They can do basically anything they want. They can change hours, websites, name, address. They can remove the listing from the control panel. And so I don't know if you recall, but last year there was basically a bug. And I'm putting it in big quotes. Let's give it Mike quotes. No, but seriously, there was a bug where people were saying, "Oh, my listings have been removed from my dashboard. I don't know why. I didn't do it. I asked everybody. They said they didn't do it." Well, the problem is that when we escalated those to Google to go check out, more than 98% of them were actually done by a user who was added to the profile. And unfortunately, there was no messaging about this in the profile itself. Like, you don't get an email saying, XYZ user has just gone ahead and removed this listing. So nobody knew, but that's what it actually came out being. And then there's also the issue of hijacked listings. So hijacked listings can happen very easily. Somebody gets added as a manager. They just go ahead, they start changing information and booting out other owners and managers. So we see that a lot on the forum. Anyway, Google Business Profile, I still hate saying this, but they went ahead and they made this change. And now it's going to be a 7-day waiting period. They haven't decided whether it's going to be business days or regular, just days back to back. I think it's going to be days back to back. But now, you have to wait, which is kind of sucky for agencies. If you think about it, right? It kind of kills your workflow.
Problematic.
Yeah. It's like, yeah, you just hired us. You paid us a lot of money. We appreciate you. And we're not going to get started for 7 days. Explain that. Anyway, you can always use the article or the Help Center article and say, hey, not our fault. What do you think, Greg? I mean, I think it's a great thing.
I think it's great. Other than you do have those issues for agencies and freelancers too, like anybody that's going to be a marketing representative that's going to be connected with new clients. of course, those new clients want them to take that over and do that. And it's a little bit dicey now to have to go, give us access. Here's how to do it. And also, by the way, I can't do anything for you for a week. Even if we send them the Google guidelines or the post or whatever that says, here's how it works, it's still going to upset some clients.
Yeah. Oh, I was just thinking, I mean, this could actually be real. I wonder if this applies to people who are suspended. Because, when they hire us, for instance, to do a reinstatement, they want to get back on usually
pretty quick. That would be a good question for us to dig into and find out before the episode in a couple of weeks.
Yeah, I think I will definitely. I'll ping my team on that, and actually, I'll probably just experiment it on my next one. So, okay, cool. So let's see. All right. So that is that. All right. So Greg, all right. We have a question from, looks like Stephen Asman. And his question is, what are some suggestions and tips to combat the Google Vicinity update? Do you want to cover the Google Vicinity update first?
Yeah, sure. So the Vicinity update came out before Christmas, and it was the first major update to the local algorithm in quite a while. And it retooled how the algorithm uses real world location and proximity in assessing search results. So it seems to be, a lot of us are still doing research on it, but it seems to be for the businesses that did get affected and lost visibility. Usually it's just because it was a tighter radius of visibility in those results for those keyword phrases that were being tracked. Some people said it's a spam thing. We don't have any clients that do spammy stuff, so we weren't able to really assess that. Honestly, we didn't really have any clients that got hit. I think Guy just wrote an article saying that the update really hit a lot of lawyers really hard. And that makes sense. If they've got a ton of attorneys as clients, they have a little bit more data to see. I do have attorneys as clients
right.
as well, but ours didn't really get hurt. So, what can we do to combat this? Well, it's really tough to combat something where it's real world location and real world proximity, unless you're just going to open another location. And that's where, if you do have reduced visibility, and let's say you're in a metro area like Chicago or Denver or LA or Houston or whatever it would be, and you've got a single location and you've got reduced visibility, look at what you've actually lost. Again, too, let's not all run screaming that the sky is falling just because whatever rank tracking solution you're using says that you lost visibility. Check your analytics too. Check Search Console. See if you really did lose visibility, and are you losing traffic? Because if you're losing revenue, then you want to worry about it. But if traffic and revenue haven't really gone down, who cares what your rank tracker says, right? So Pay attention to all that, make smart decisions. But if you're losing revenue, you got to say, okay, cool. Is it worth us opening another location and having additional costs to get better visibility in that area to then get back to where we were, expand even further? And then, beyond that, if you aren't looking at, I need to open another location, how long has it been since you really looked at your site and the quality of what you've got going on? So maybe get somebody to do an audit for you, see what's going on. Maybe it's something else that's unrelated to location that caused your drop in visibility. I was talking to somebody on Twitter recently, and they were saying, oh yeah, our traffic's 50% of what it was, and our phone calls have gone way down. And I said, oh yeah, this just happened in December. And they said, no, it started in September. So it was September through the end of the year that it dropped. So, okay, that probably wasn't the Vicinity update. It's probably something else. So Get that audit, get somebody to take a look and see what's going on, and then always, make sure you're being active. A lot of times businesses don't really get into their GBP that often, and they're not changing information, not checking what's there. I'm speaking at an automotive event next week, and I have a scoring matrix that I use to kind of assess the basic, even pre-SEO 101 tactics. And there's quite a few people that only have one category selected in their Google business profile. So simple things, make sure you're following best practice on everything you should be doing. That was a really long-winded answer.
That was. And I love it.
And now that's it. We're out of time. Thanks for coming, everybody.
And at the end there, you said, who have not added a secondary category to their Google business profile. And you said it perfectly, Greg.
Yeah, I've been doing a lot. Well, I do my weekly video series outside of doing this with you now. And I spoke at a conference this last week, and I've had to pre-record some conference presentations for other stuff coming up. So I've had enough repetition now that it's pretty easy. It's easier to say Google Business Profile. I've kind of that rolls off my tongue quickly now, pretty much just as quickly as Google My Business. It's just that when I'm presenting on stage, I have that kind of cadence, and it's harder then because it's so kind of like, it's been 7 years I've been saying Google My Business. That's hard to break. But the really hard one is GBP instead of GMB. That's gonna take a while.
Yep, exactly. And not to hit too much on this, but I mean, it is important. And thanks for the great answer there, by the way, about the Google Vicinity. Totally on tap. There's a lot of stuff out there that are saying also that keywords are potentially part of this update, and that keywords are hurting a business and causing it to rank lower. I'm going to come out and just say at the moment, I'm highly skeptical. I'm not dismissing it, and I'm definitely not saying it is part of this update, but based on the people that I've been talking to from our client base that have been hurt by this update, they definitely got hit on the 8th. So that's number one. Number two, everything is pretty much in order. Number three, they don't have keywords in their business name. So I think that this update does not discriminate. But I'm going to do a little bit more research and see what I can find out as far as that goes. So I would definitely say that if you're hit by this, like Greg was saying, look to your website, look to GMB overall, and see what you can do, basically. All right. So the next thing is, so we have a question that came in, and this came in from Mike Hardy. Hey, Mike. If suggested edits are handled by AI, why do they often stay under review for days or weeks? So the under review feature, basically what that is it's all about basically curbing spam is really the best way to explain it. So this is something that Google enacted last year, actually. I think it was mid last year. And it was in response to some spam techniques, which we can't get into. And either way, having the under review last for at least 3 days has been a very important, and it is good deterrence for spammers. The other thing is that under review, I mean, it depends on which edit we're talking about here. But for the most part, when you do suggest an edit, it's going to basically go ahead and the AI is going to do some checks. So for instance, let's say you edit your phone number. If you edit your phone number through a suggest an edit, Google's going to go out and look at basically credible sources for that phone number to corroborate the edit. And if that cannot be corroborated, then basically it's going to get denied. It's going to get rejected. If it is, say, in one location, it's correct, but in another location is incorrect, so you don't have consistency in your sources, then it's going to take a long time to get reviewed. And if it gets stuck in a purgatory, and if it's on somebody else's listing, sorry, there's nothing you can do about it, right? You just made the suggestion, it just gets stuck in review forever. If it's on your own listing, then you can contact support and they'll do a manual review of it. What you got, Greg?
You said it perfectly. I don't have a whole lot to add to it, but yeah, that's the one thing too, is besides contacting support, always don't forget about the forum. You can always go to the forum and post something in there. If you've got something, periodically every once in a while, I'll see a post where it's like, hey, I've got this edit that's been under review for, 6 weeks. What's going on? Okay. That's a problem. You're going to need to get that fixed. So pop it into the forum. Somebody can escalate for you.
Yeah. And I guess I'll bring up a tangential one. And that is that not answering this question, but it's a different question that might be asked. That is if you're setting up a new listing and that listing is basically still pending review. And if it's been more than 2 weeks, then you can also go to support basically for that as well. All right. So Greg, for you, what is the best practice for switching a business from a Google website to your own URL?
That's an easy one. Really, all you have to do is set up your own website and put that URL in, and it's going to display that URL instead of the Google URL. There's not a whole lot to it.
What
Some
happens to
people
the
like
old
to take
one?
down the Google site and not have it anymore. Other people like to leave it up as a potentially maybe an additional citation, an extra little bit of info out there for people to find. Like, cool, if you want it, great. If you don't, take it down too. But it's really not hard. Best practice is typically you can't do as much with the free Google site as you can with like a WordPress site or a Shopify site. So just make sure that your content's all transferred over. Obviously, you don't want to turn on a new site that has less content, but most of the time it's going to be more content. So, just switch it out. You're good. Pretty easy.
Yep, pretty much. And if you get sketchy from a mechanical side, you can always click on website and then go and click on the little edit pencil at the top where it has the name of the GMB Biz website. And there's a little checkbox there. You can uncheck that checkbox. It does not unpublish it. It just makes sure that it will not republish it to your info tab, basically overwriting your own domain. So, all right, cool. Thank you, dude. All right. Okay. We have a question. Hi, Sheila, from Sheila. All right. Should she put her address back in? So to read this out really quick, change my GMB or GBP basically to a service area listing, and I've been verified by postcard. As instructed, I put in my home address so Google could verify my postcard. My address is shown all over the internet. I'm unable to change the address or leave it blank. So this question is a little bit intricate for a couple different reasons. Usually when you verify by postcard, the address will not publish. So it will be hidden, and if you've selected that option. And Sheila, I know you know what you're talking about. So I don't know exactly what happened there, but the next thing might be a bug. Because if you click on your address, you should also be able to clear your address and then save it, and everything should be just fine. So if you're clicking on address and you do not see clear address in the bottom left-hand corner, drop me a screenshot. And I'm probably going to have you make a thread on the community because that would be a bug. But generally, yes. I mean, if you want to have a service area-based business, you don't want to show your address.
Speaking of posting, we've mentioned that twice of, hey, if you're having issues, go drop a new thread on the forum. It seems to be happening, and we didn't even have this plan to talk about, but it made me think, hey, we need to talk about this. Yeah. It seems to be happening a lot more lately that, obviously you're supposed to include as much detail as possible in that post on the forum so that you don't have to have us come back and go give us more details before we can escalate. But if you have too many links in that post, which lately looks like more than one link, it gets tagged as spam and you'll see it. But when nobody else sees it, that post doesn't ever go live. So lately, what we've been suggesting to people is to put all the details, all the links, everything into a Google Doc that's open, shared, public. And then in the forum post, put the title that explains what's going on, put a quick, really brief description and say all the details are located in this Google Doc. And that way your post will go live.
Yep. You can do it that way. I've also found that if you take the http:// out, it'll actually usually go through. But no, that's a great tip. All right. So we're going to take a quick break and answer some questions. All right. So the first question we have is from Trisha. And Trisha, that is can we talk about the proximity update for SAB profiles? I have not seen an issue with SAB profiles yet. I haven't seen a decrease, or I haven't heard anybody who's come to us and said, hey, we're having this kind of an issue. What about you, Greg?
I haven't heard about it on SABs. The ones that I have, heard, hey, I've had clients that got killed, or, I heard this group of people really got hit hard. They've all been brick and mortars. I haven't heard anything about this affecting service business.
Okay. All right. Well, unfortunately, we don't have an answer for you there. So, well, sorry about that. We're just going to have to move on. Okay. So next question. Let's see. I'm going to ask a question here from Dipagandhi. And that is, and I really hope I did not skewer that name. All right. Recently, in the last 7 to 10 days, I've noticed newly created listings, which are then verified via PIN code, are immediately getting suspended upon verification. Do you know if this is a bug or something else is changing? Yeah. Okay. You've had it happen to 8 to 9, and everything is, of course, following the guidelines. First thing I will say is this, Deepa, is that it kind of does depend. Now, this is
we need that soundboard.
Yes, it depends. So basically, think of this as an anti-spam measure. It probably is dependent on your category. So the category that you're in could be anything from, say HVAC to personal injury lawyers to garage door. Don't know what that is, of course, unless you want to put that in the chat real quick. But for the most part, yes, if a listing is brand new, gets a pin, and it's in that kind of category, or if there's something else that is going on which is suspicious in nature, which could be many, many, many things, then the listing is going to get suspended. However, who cares? If it gets suspended and you are in the guidelines, it's going to get reinstated within 24 hours. If you don't and you get a denial, then you are not following the guidelines. I hear it all the time when we deal with, let's see. Yes. Yep. Service area, HVAC, plumber, pest control. Those are all duress categories. So, but almost guaranteed that if you're getting a denial, you are not in compliance. As a matter of fact, what I've found out from looking at over 5,000 now, no, 3,000 GMB suspensions is that 4% of businesses listings are actually in compliance. So there's probably something wrong. And unfortunately, that's going to be up to you to figure out what it is if they're not getting reinstated. And side note, you could be the problem, by the way. So you might want to take a look at the account that is creating these listings and maybe try it within a different account. What do you got, Greg? What are your thoughts?
No, yeah. I mean, I was going to add that part at the end is, check your account too, because sometimes it could be that things have happened in the past. Like, even though these might all be following guidelines, maybe something happened in the past and there's something about your account that seems a little fishy. It could literally just be the account.
Yep. Cool. All right. So John's got a question for you, Greg. Actually, hold on. Do you have an update from Trisha?
Trisha in the chat said, is it still the case that for service area businesses, the proximity is still based on the address of verification? Is there anything you can do if your verified location is near the border and not the center of the service area?
Oh, gosh. Yeah, this is a good one. Short answer. Move. Yep, that's it. Quick story. I had a client. They had a web design company. They're out of Orlando, literally out of Orlando by about 300 feet. So when you looked it up on Google Maps, that's where the drawing of the border was basically. And they were not ranking at all inside of Orlando. And they went ahead, they moved their address literally about a block. And now, boom, they ranked all over Orlando. So to answer your question directly, yes, it is based on your verification address currently. Hopefully that changes this year sometime. But yeah, if it's outside the boundary, you're not going to rank, unfortunately. Kind of. What do you think?
Yep. No, I mean, that's kind of it. There's not a whole lot more you can do unless maybe you're lucky and you're, at home underwater basket weaving classes and there's no competition. Oh, okay. Well, cool. You wouldn't have to worry about it. But, if there's much competition at all, you're not going to have a good time with that.
So, Greg, when are you taking the course?
I don't know, man. It's got to be soon.
Yes, definitely, DP. You have to go through the appeal process for every single one. Sorry, but again, if you're in compliance, 24 hours, and definitely, Heather, you're welcome. Cool. All right, Greg, question for you, man. Ready?
Yep.
John Penio asks, All right. Hi, Ben and Greg. What is the process to quickly rebuild the search authority of a listing that has been marked as a duplicate? We've had clients' hotel listings marked as a duplicate of its spa, and on multiple occasions now and then is difficult to deal with the hotel not coming up in the knowledge panel search query. You probably see this with auto dealerships all the time. Added pictures, updated things. Okay, follow up. Okay, why is it? Okay, we'll ask the second question in a moment. So, what do you think about that, Greg?
Yeah, honestly, I don't have any hotel clients, so I don't have a lot of experience there, but I do have a lot of experience with car dealers having a very similar issue where the service department or parts department shows up in a brand search instead of the main listing. And most of the time, the simplest fix for that is the name of the business. If it's Greg Gifford Hotel and it's Greg Gifford Hotel Spa, those names are so similar that potentially changing the name of the spa, at least on Google's or on your Google business profile, could be all that it takes. Are hotels able to list spas as departments?
No,
they can't do that. So yeah, I mean, it really could come down to the name. Other than that, if it keeps happening on multiple occasions, I would really check both. Another thing with car dealerships that makes this happen a lot is having incorrect categories. So if you've got spa related categories on the hotel let's say you have the same 5 or 6 categories listed on each listing, get the categories separate, make those two businesses as unique as possible. Potentially does it, but that's about all I got on this one. I don't do enough stuff with hotels.
It's all right. Well, duplicates actually are the biggest bane of my existence. I hate duplicates. They are some of the most challenging things to deal with, and they make no logical sense whatsoever. So they're even worse to deal with. So I'm going to ask the follow-up question, which is, why would Google mark a listing as a duplicate after it already has been verified from from past duplicate flagging issue? So the answer is this. Again, dupes are a pain in the butt. That's all there is to them. And I'll throw another example. I mean, I'm dealing with one this morning. And what ended up happening there was, quick story, is that a franchisee was let go from a franchisor. And then the franchisee went ahead and decided to make a duplicate listing at their address, same business name, same everything, basically. And went ahead and they verified it. This again comes down to data integrity. Google doesn't know where the source of truth is. All Google knows is, hey, you just set up a new listing. You just verified it. You must have authority over this location. So we're going to say this is the real one. And this other one, that's the duplicate. And it falls under the same lines of thought as a suspension. You're guilty until proven innocent. In this case, the listing is guilty until proven innocent. So basically what's going to happen is yes, the new duplicate is going to be live. However, the cool thing about that is that most of the time, the reviews will not flow to the new listing and the photos won't flow to the new listing. They will stay with the original. Where problems do come in, and we do see this in hotels, by the way, is that, and if this is happening to you, it's a really bad issue. But if you see where it's basically states that you have a duplicate in your dashboard and it says see the original, and then so if you click on your reviews, you see all of your reviews, and then you click see original, which is the duplicate, then you see your reviews there, the same exact reviews. That means that Google has basically basically thinks that is the actual listing now, and yours is the duplicate. So, and in that case, you only have one thing that you can do. Yeah, the reviews were all moved to the spa. So, and you had to move back last time. Okay, got it. Yeah, you need to contact support. Basically, that's the only thing you can do in this case, is either claim that listing so go out, you could claim the spa or the duplicate hotel listing into another account, which it'll be the same exact listing basically. Or you need to contact support. I would go the first route, which is try to claim it, and you should be totally fine, actually, given that the reviews are the same. Anyway, that's a real mouthful of an answer, isn't it?
One thing, though, on what John said is he added pictures daily, updated hotel attributes, and created a COVID-19 post. I always like to tell people not to use the COVID-19 post because it's text only and it disables all other posts. None of your other posts will show up as being live. So if you do want to release any sort of an update, use the regular what's new post and not the COVID-19 post.
Yep, I completely agree with that, man. All right. So let's see. Okay. Hotels can't do posts. So there's that. All right. Well, I'm sorry. They can do posts.
They can now, yeah.
They can do the COVID posts. That's right. They can't do offer posts. Okay. So let's see. All right. Next question. Why don't we throw another one at you, Greg? How's that? Can you please take 10 seconds and repeat the circumstances that trigger? Oh, wait. I guess it's maybe me. Circumstances that triggers a new 7-day wait. And does posting regularly GMB help much with ranking? 2 questions. All right, Gordon.
You take part 1. I'll take part 2.
Deal. All right. So part 1, 10 seconds. Counting now. 7-day wait period is when you add a new manager or a new owner. They accept the invite. Then the 7 days will get started at that point. And they won't be able to make any changes, no matter how much they plead or cry. All right.
And so the second bit, I don't remember exactly what it was because you just marked it as answered. I think it was, does posting regularly influence your ranking or visibility?
Yes.
It does not. Posting has no influence on how you rank. Posting is one of those things that there might be some correlation there between businesses that post more often that tend to rank higher, mainly because people that post more often tend to do all of the other stuff inside of GBP. So it's everything. And because of all of their SEO/Google stuff together results in them being higher. It's not because they're posting more than you. So yeah, like it's like post, think of posts not as something that you do to rank. Think of post as something you do to stand out from the crowd and to drive more conversions and clicks.
And drive more conversions. That's the most important thing. I was just speaking at Seattle Search Network or something like that. And, we had a question that was exactly like that. And it's like, while engagement signals on posts will indirectly help ranking, they don't directly. So it's not a causation, it's a correlation. And, I've got a client, I've got a lawyer, we post every single day for them on all their locations and they do fantastic. But guess what? They do a lot of SEO activities.
Yep.
So, yeah. So absolutely. I would say do posts.
Always do posts.
Yeah. Other thing I could say about posts is, and I'm sure you see this too, Greg, success stories is, we've got clients that make anywhere from $6,000 to literally $120,000 in sales off of posts. So
yeah, you got to think about it. It should always be promotional. That doesn't mean it needs to be a pricing special, but it needs to be promotional. It needs to be compelling. It's got to give people a reason to click through. I'm auditing a bunch of car dealer sites for an event that I'm speaking at next week. And a bunch of them have just this, the same sort of social fluff that they share on Facebook or Instagram. And like that stuff doesn't work. People don't care what you think, the top 5 reasons to buy a new F-150. Like, no, that's not the kind of stuff that works. Think you got to have something there compelling that someone that has not bought from you in the past and doesn't know about you already, what's going to make you stand out? That's what you should be doing with posts. You
got it. Exactly. And Joey brings up a great point that posts can show up as a justification.
Yep.
Which can help with conversions and engagement. And that's completely true. And for those of you who don't know what a justification is when you go into the local categorical finder, which is more businesses, then underneath of that, underneath of your listing, at the last line, you'll see a little icon, usually like a little starburst with an eye in it. And that'll basically might pull out some content from your post into your GMB listing. And it just says this, they have a post that mentions X. There's lots of different justifications, but that's what the post one is like. And there's another thing, actually, a lot of people don't talk about this, but your posts can actually show up as related posts on mobile, and they will show up above your competitor's GMBP listing. So that's another cool thing about it.
GMBP, is that what we're calling them now?
GMBP, yeah. So I personally, I prefer that GMBP, right? Google My Business Profile. Why not? Let's do it. Everybody, there you go. You have a new thing today. If you're going to write something or say something, called GMBP.
Or it should be GPPFBMB, Google Plus Places for Business, My Business.
Of course.
Yes. Make it really easy for everybody.
Of course. Yeah. All right. Oh, okay. So there's a follow-up from Sheila. And thank you, everybody, by the way, for throwing in so many questions, wonderful questions that we can't actually keep up with them. So it's fantastic. Keep going. So Sheila says she verified again. The address shows in red. Okay. So number one, well, the red it's actually an orange. But anyway, so when that happens, that means that, again, Google is confused. There's some kind of data confusion that's out there. What I would do is the address is showing in red. So that means that Google keeps on adding the address back. You have to reach out to support, Sheila. There's nothing you can do with that. Because what I would absolutely do is check your citations, check your website, especially things like BBB and LinkedIn, and make sure that the address is not showing, because Google could also be pulling it from another source. And so that's what I would do with that. But definitely, you're probably going to want to end up reaching out to support.
Yep.
Okay. All right. Done with that. Okay. Heather has looks like quite an involved question here, Greg.
Okay, verified Google listing with slightly incorrect address. A listing marked by Google as duplicate with the correct address, and they are in a building with many suites on the second floor. They're not the entire second floor. It seems Google Maps thinks saying second floor is correct, but it is not. There's some images that we can't see in chat because she put it in an email. Here's the invoice showing the second one is the correct address. How do we go about changing the error in the map before I submit the address change?
Contact support.
Yeah, this is just for sure. Go right to support on this one.
Yep. All right. Sorry, Heather. I had to give you a really quick answer on that one. All right. So we'll just keep on going here. Danny Crumpton has a question. Can creating location pages on your website using Google Business Profile category keywords in your heading, meta descriptions, URLs, etc., help with boosting your location pages on your website or your Google Business Profile, especially if the location pages you create are in different cities than where your Google Business Profile is listed?
There's a lot to unpack with this one.
Yep, go for it, dude.
Let's unpack city pages using Google Business Profile category keywords first. Let's back up. Let's address city pages first. Just because you throw up a city page doesn't mean you're going to get visibility in that city. You want to make sure, one thing that I always talk to people about that are asking questions about, can I put stuff about other cities and show up there? Make sure you own your backyard first. If your SEO isn't solid enough that you have a good foundation, you don't have to be number one for every phrase, but you need to be doing really well for all of the important phrases that matter for your business, where you actually have an address first before you even worry about trying to show up in other cities. Because if you have a brick and mortar, or even if it's a service area business and you're relevant for where you are, and you're trying to show up in this city, and this city, and this city, and this city, and this city, you don't have a physical location there. So there are no citations to back up that you're a relevant answer there. There are no Google listings to back up that you're relevant there. And there's likely nothing on your site to back up that you're relevant there other than one page that says something about that city. And also, usually people asking these questions are like, I'm going to throw out a city page for every city in the state of Texas, and it's crappy, low quality content that's never going to rank anyway. So the first thing is own your backyard before you try to expand. The second thing is, when you want to do city pages tend to only work if there's not tons and tons and tons of competition in those cities. So if it's a more rural area, or you're an underwater basket weaving supply guy, cool, throw some city pages up and you'll be fine. But if there is more competition, you're probably going to need to do more than put up a city page. You're probably going to need to do what's called local content silos. And that's a really more advanced strategy of creating more than just a page and actually a lot of content optimized around that area to kind of overcome that location and proximity bias of not having a location there. The next important part to unpack is asking about creating those pages around the categories in Google Business Profile. Don't try to optimize for Google Business Profile category names unless those category names match up with what you've identified as important phrases in your keyword research. So do your keyword research. You need to create content and pages on your site around the way that your potential customers are searching for you, not around the categories that Google has in Google Business Profiles.
To surmise, optimize for people, not for Google. That was great. That was excellent.
Trying to not be super long-winded because there's a lot to unpack.
There was a lot to unpack there, what there was. And by the way, that information was golden. So everybody, you will be receiving an invoice from Greg, probably sometime this week. All right. So let's see. All right. We're done with that. Okay. All right. So Ruben Pope, what type of backlinks are producing the best result currently? So I'll go ahead and I'll field that one real quick.
Good ones.
Yeah, right. Exactly. Let's see. A, non-paid. B, local oriented citations and links. Those work, I think, the best. Of course, if you can get a link from a place which is of a well-known site, I'm not going to say a high domain authority site, but a well-known site, and it's relevant to your client or what you do, and you want traffic from that link, then it's great. If you're doing it just for SEO purposes, then again, you're kind of pointing in the wrong direction, or you're looking in the wrong direction, I should say. And the results are not going to be that great for you. What do you got, Greg?
I think we should unpack why you said you wouldn't care about going after high domain authority links.
Oh, okay. We can do that. So
we plan that for a later question anyway. Let's just do it now.
Yeah, we did. So, I mean, the fact of the matter is this, look, and then, Google has even come out and said this, by the way. Domain authority was created by our friends over at Moz back in the mid 2000s. I want to say 2006 is when Rand first unleashed it and talked about it. And since then, it's basically an internal metric that they use, that they've created. It's their algorithm, but Google doesn't use it. But they're trying to give an approximation of what they think Google uses and what's called domain authority. However, Google has come out, John Mueller, actually on Twitter, came out and said there is no such thing as domain authority.
In other words, domain authority is...
Oh, look at that.
That's basically it is. Everybody's like, oh, I got to get high authority links. No. Get real links that you're earning because you're awesome. Those are the links that work.
Yep. Get links because you're awesome. Period. All right.
Yeah. And also another thing too, this is the LMI webinar. We're talking about local businesses. One of the kind of things that I boil it down to for businesses, and I just said this at a conference this week, do the things that businesses used to do to get exposure before we had the internet. When you didn't have to worry about SEO in your website, what would you do? You'd go out, you'd get involved in the community. You join the Chamber of Commerce, you do community events because you want your business out there. You'd sponsor the Little League team so that your logo's across the top of the back of their jersey. All of those things, it's kind of come full circle. All of that grassroots, real world, old school marketing stuff that businesses used to do and got away from because of the website is really the sorts of things that if you do those things now, you still get great exposure in the community, but it leads to amazing, really valuable links.
Yep, I completely agree. I mean, as a side note, it's like, you think as marketers, right, that we're not supposed to do internet marketers, that we're not supposed to talk about what happens in the real world. And I had a client the other day, they're franchised, they were asking me, they were like, well, what can we do to enhance ourselves locally without implementing other new strategies? Because we're doing everything there is to do digital. Right. Yep. And I said, okay. So the first question I have for you is, do you do radio advertising? They're like, well, yeah, we do radio advertising in every single market that we're in. Great. Excellent. People know your name. So why don't you input something into your radio and your advertising that basically is like, hey, by the way, go to Google and search for XYZ name of franchise near me. Why would you do something like this? Because that would inform Google in a white hat way that people are actually searching for your business. And the more people that do that, the better Google is going to understand what you're about. So again, it's not black hat, but it's not, and it's white hat, but it is hyper local focused.
Yep.
So you got any tips like that?
No, that was great. I love that. That's a great way to put it.
Sweet. Thanks. All right. You
got to do Tammy's question.
Yes. Working on it right now.
It's another one. I wish I had the sound, but I'm writing down all these cool ideas for our little soundboard for next time.
Yeah, do it, dude. All right. For my GPB Google profile business, I am using a post office street address as I receive my email at a PO box. How do you receive email at a post office?
Probably
box?
just mail. Yeah.
I know. I'm joshing in a nice way. Let's see. I am not showing up on the map. Any advice? Let's talk about the first thing, and that is post office box.
Yeah,
is the post office box allowed?
It is not allowed. That's why you're not showing up in search.
Okay.
So simple. Don't use a post office box. You got to use a real address.
Yeah, I know. I get it. You get mail at your post office box. I totally understand it. However, the rule is it's not allowed. Why? Because unless you have clients which are about that tall coming to visit you, which I mean, I guess it's possible, then you need to actually use your home as your verification address, and it'll be hidden, hopefully, so nobody will be able to see it. But PO boxes are not allowed. So unfortunately, that's that answer. Do you have anything to add?
Unless you're like setting up a table at the post office and having people meet with you and do your consulting there at the post office, which now I wish we'd had this question in advance and we could have like gone and shot a funny little segment with us sitting in really
that would have been great. So, hey, by the way, that's a call to action for everybody is like, definitely submit your questions ahead of time. We actually read these things every day, when we come in basically and get started. So please submit them ahead of time. So that way Greg and I can do some really cool stuff. All right. So Jeffrey's question, Jeffrey Custron. This one's for you, Greg. What should you do about business that has violated Google's guidelines for the second time? We reported a listing in August for keyword stuffing. Google removed the extra keywords. A few weeks ago, the business had added the keywords back along with a few more.
Awesome. So report them again. Go back, use the redressal form, use suggest and edit, have multiple people do suggest and edit. I mean, that's what you got to do. You got to report them again, and they'll probably get taken down again, and they'll probably put keywords back again. But once somebody is a repeat offender, then they can kind of get in a little bit more trouble and have things happen. But if it's just the second time, unfortunately, just go report them again. That's your best option.
Only thing I'll add to that is that when you report them the second time, make sure you still have the case ID from your first one.
Yeah, good
so
point.
That way they can reference it. There is I'll just put this out there as a rule, but it is not enforced. And that is 3 strikes and you're out. Again, not always enforced, so you can't bet on it. And that, so basically, in other words, if you do this 2 times, 3 times, then they might suspend the listing. So that is always possible. Just make sure you keep track of all those case IDs. All right.
It got blurry because I held that thing up and it focused on that. And now it's not like refocusing on me.
It is totally blurry. I mean, why don't you get
why
close?
It's doing that?
Get closer to us, Greg.
Like I'll just have to do the rest of the thing. Like,
yeah, exactly.
Not refocusing. That's so weird. I'm so sorry about that.
No, it's okay.
It's like worse now. Like, block it totally. Maybe then it'll. No, my camera's not liking me.
And if we have any palm readers out there, by the way, Greg just put his hand up to my camera. So you know,
right there.
There we go. Okay, what's
and
in this
my nice
feature?
ink smudge?
And look at that, it fixed it.
Oh, it did. Whoa, hey.
Look at that. Perfect.
Thanks to the palm readers that just did that with the palm magic.
Yes, exactly. All right. So, all right, Greg. Steven Asman has a question. Any suggestions regarding GBP, Google Business Profile categories, where the business is a specialty niche business, kind of like underwater basket weaving?
Exactly. You beat me to it.
And while it does fit under a primary category, the business does not want their profile coming up when people are searching for their general primary category. This is a good one, actually.
I mean, it's tough. Like if Stephen is talking about an underwater basket weaving studio and there is no specific category for that, it does get tough. You have to have a category. And if there's only one category that even closely approximates what you do, but it's a little bit more general, you're probably just going to have to bite the bullet and put it in there anyway, because you can't not have a category.
Yeah. I mean, basically, Greg is 100% on tap. You have to have a category. And while you may not want what the primary category is providing for you as far as search, you're going to have to go with it. They're called GCIDs, by the way, if you want the technical term for them. And the way they work is you've got the primary category and then you've got your nested secondary categories. And then underneath of that, you have this list of categories that actually exist that you can't see. So it's just how Google does it. You're going to have to live with it, basically, unfortunately. Unless, I'll throw this out there, why not? Unless you, Stephen, happen to know about 10, 20, 30,000 other related businesses that are having the exact same problem and you want them all to lobby Google to create a new category. Nope. Okay. So anyway, all right, cool. So let's see, moving on. Again, we got so many questions here, Greg. All right.
It's good that we've got questions.
Yeah, we do. All right, keep them coming, peeps. Anybody, any questions that you asked today, by the way, that we can't get to, we will absolutely put in line for next week.
Somebody had a good thing in the chat that they mentioned out is maybe we should have some sort of a timeline for getting questions in for each week's episode, because if they just put it in an hour before, that probably isn't enough time for us to get it in.
I would say that
depends how many questions are there.
Yeah, in general, just go ahead and if you want to submit questions after the webinar, fantastic. Just go for it and just do it. We get them in real time. If it's the day before, we might not get to you. Heck, if it's 2 days before. So I would say try to get your questions in by Wednesday. How about that?
Or be the first person to put a question in the Q&A each week.
Yeah, there you go. And if you want to know where to submit them, it's just on localmarketinginstitute.com. Underneath the register link, there is an ask your question link as well. And also we send out an email to everybody who registers too. So you can ask, the link is in there too. All right, Monica, I got you on this one. Tarantino, any relation? No. When your GBP has been suspended, submitted a reinstatement form, received response from Google, then you made changes to improve quality as requested. Do you submit a reinstatement form or should you reply to the original reply from Google? The answer is this. Google wants to have a one line of communication, which is a fancy way of saying one request, one email thread, please. If you open it up, a new reinstatement request, you're going to go ahead and you're going to confuse them, therefore delaying any kind of response that you would have gotten. So you need to do it in the same email, in the same email thread. And so the answer to your question, though, is you just reply back to the denial or whatever they're asking and say, hey, it's done, or I've done this or I've done that. And then they will either come back to you with the most infuriating same template, which is, sorry, quality guidelines, go pound sand. Or they'll come back and they'll give you something else. But basically, that's it. That's what you want to do. Anything that you want to add there, buddy?
Nope.
All right, so let's see. Gordon had a follow.
I'll take Gordon's real quick. If we get profile click-throughs to our posts, does that help with ranking? No, it doesn't. Posts don't help with ranking, again. And I know you're asking this as a follow-up to what we're talking about, but when you're talking about posts, just disassociate it from anything with ranking or visibility. It's a conversion element, not a ranking element.
Absolutely. All right. So let's
Orange
see.
is the new red for Sheila.
Yep. Orange is the new red. Okay. Yep. That's all. Everything still applies there, Sheila. Um, Here's one that's interesting. It'll be if we have an answer to this.
I've got an answer for this one.
Sweet. Ruben Pope is asking, any best practices to optimize your pay-per-click campaigns for voice search?
Yeah, this is one of my things I kind of go off on rants at conferences when I see all these sessions about how to optimize for voice. Voice is just a different way to enter a search query. It's not a different algorithm. So you have to understand that when people are speaking a search query to their Google device or to Siri to pull up whatever, it's a different way to enter that search query, but it's still the same algorithm, the same elements that have influenced your visibility. The one difference here would be he's asking about paid search. So potentially do your keyword research and see if you're a underwater basket weaving supply distributor and you want people to find underwater basket weaving supplies near me, and that's something that you've done keyword research and seen that people do search for whatever you're selling near me, then yeah, or whatever you're selling in a city and maybe you don't have that city, then yeah, then you'd want to do that. But that's almost more of just doing keyword research. It's not really specific to the fact that they're doing voice.
Yep, I agree. And as far as voice search goes, there's actually a really killer article that we have up on Local Marketing Institute that's all about voice search. And actually, well, I'll grab a link to it here in a little bit. But you can get into voice search through the Google Screen program, and of course, there's always Yext. But there's other ways to get in there as well. So I'll go ahead and I'll put up a link to that in a couple minutes. Probably while, let's see. Here we go. I'm going to give you another question from Ruben while I look for that link. So Ruben Pope asks, does reporting competitors to Google is a good strategy for an agency? And I know it depends on a case-by-case basis. It does depend. But is it a strategy that you've had success with on any level? Go, Greg.
Heck yes. And obviously, it depends. You're not going to go report competitors if there's no reason to report competitors. But if you're working in a spammy vertical and there's a ton of spam listings that are showing up and ranking, then heck yeah, go report all of those. It's a great strategy as an agency.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I can tell you this, that our agency, we have a success rate that hovers around 50 to 80% for our clients. And it is one of the best things that we can do for our clients. If somebody can pay sub $100, for instance, to get rid of a competitor that is not in the guidelines, and you go from position 4 to position 3, yeah, easiest win.
Or I mean, what about the situations where you're at 8 or 9 in the finder, but 5 of the ones above you are spam listings, and you can nuke five or six listings. You go from 8 or 9 to 4 or 5, even though you're not in the 3 that show on the map pack. That's still a massive boost to visibility. So huge. And by the way, Joey is absolutely correct. Joey Abna said, don't use the agency's main Google account. Oh, heck yeah.
I'll take it a step further, Joey. Don't use anybody who is associated with any of your agency Google account, basically. So even if you've got your brother in there as an intern, he should not be using that email address to report listings, because they can spill over. The account level suspension can basically spill over into your entire account. Unfortunately, I see it happen all the time. So there was an agency Armageddon that happened last year, where we were dealing with nothing but account level suspensions, and they were a large majority were from suggested edits.
Yeah, if you're trying to take down competitors legitimately, because the competitors don't need to be there, not because you're trying to cheat and take down people that should. But just the easiest thing, just create a separate account to use for that. That's just not tied to you at all, at all. Completely just a bogus account that's not out there.
Yeah, we call those sock puppets, by the way.
Ooh, I like that. That's good.
Yeah, sock puppets are fake accounts that have basically no profile really, and they're just used for one purpose. So Tammy has kind of two questions, or one statement and a question about addresses. So we're talking a lot about addresses today. It's fun.
Yeah.
So the statement is that she's using a street address of the P.O. box. Back when she established her business profile, it was allowed. So I'm going to say that, Tammy, that unless you were doing this about 12 years ago, it's not allowed. You got away with it. That is absolutely correct. Past behavior does not dictate future performance, however.
Yep.
So basically, Google had a very hard time figuring out what was a PO box and what was not a PO box. But as of probably last year, they're very good at it. So basically what it would take is somebody would basically have to go ahead and report your listing, and then it will get suspended, basically. And if it got suspended, you would not be able to get it reinstated because it's a PO box. So you actually have to move. They wouldn't even tell you it's the address, it's the issue. And then she follows it up with, does GBP require that addresses on the website match the address on the profile? Without being too OCD, actually, Greg, why don't you go ahead and answer that one?
I mean, technically, yes, but not necessarily, because there's a lot of situations, more so outside of the US, where you can't receive mail at that address, but that's actually your address. That still needs to be, let's say you're a campground or something that's out more rural. So they're just mail doesn't get delivered there, but that's still the address. You want your address on your site because you need people to find you. So in that case, maybe there is a little bit of a mismatch, but also if it's a situation like that where you receive mail at a PO box because you can't receive mail at your business, then still get verified at the address that your business actually is. You have to jump through a few more hoops to do it that way, but that's how you'd want to go.
Yeah. And it's very much also, this is very much an it depends type of scenario. We need that soundboard, Greg.
I know we do. I'll have it next time for sure. I actually had it depends, but that was the only one I had ready, and I didn't want to roll with just one sound. So
it's all good. It's all good. No, but seriously, it does depend. And the reason why it depends is this. I'll just give a couple examples. If you're going for bulk verification, the addresses must match exactly what they are in GMB as they are on your website or your location finder. There is no ands, if, or buts about this. They will simply deny you if the information is wrong. When you're getting a reinstatement done, I don't care if you get mail at your PO box and that's what's on your website. If that doesn't match the verification address for what you used in GMB, you will get denied your reinstatements. So, but then again, if you're adding a new profile and the address doesn't match perfectly what's on your website, but it does in other areas, then it's probably going to get accepted. So if you ever get the issue where they say your business, they cannot verify the existence of your business, update your website.
And we're out of time, man.
Are we?
Flew by today.
That was fun. All right. Well, that's good. Actually, we don't have that many questions out there. Anonymous attendee asking whether local Viking or local Falcon. Local Falcon.
Yeah,
All
don't
right.
go to local Viking.
Yeah, please don't go to local Viking. All right. With that, thank you everybody for coming today. This has been great, and we will be returning in 2 weeks. And then after that, we'll see you after that. So yeah, have a wonderful weekend. Feel free to go ahead. And if you want to find Greg, where can people find you?
Best place to find me is on Twitter. It's just at Greg Gifford. Super easy.
And he is with Search Lab Digital. And I'm Ben Fisher, Steady Demand. And you can find me at The Social Dude on Twitter. And of course, you can always find me inside of the Local Marketing Institute Connect on Facebook. Have a fantastic weekend, everybody. And thanks for coming.
Thanks for coming, everybody.